Hello, Facebook family. How you doing? This is Marek Calhoun again. I am the Director of Social and Community Services for CareSouth Carolina with my partner in crime.
My name is Barry. Excuse me. My name is Daniel Myers, not Barry White today. My name is Daniel Myers. I'm Program Director for MATSUD. So glad to see everybody. Glad to be back.
All right, all right. And this is the CareSouth Carolina Community Live podcast. We have a couple special guests with us today. We've been trying to get them for quite a while now. Well, I'm gonna take a step back because I don't like to talk for our guests. I'm gonna take a step back and let them introduce themselves.
I'm Peggy Foster. I'm the Chief Operations Officer here at CareSouth. I've been here 17 plus years, and I love CareSouth. So.
And I am Chaneka Pigatt. I'm the Deputy Operations Officer, and I've been with CareSouth 18 plus years. And happy to be here.
All
Glad
right.
to have you both.
Absolutely. So we've been trying to get you guys on here for a while because me and Daniel talking about, man, we got to get operations on here, and y'all are near and dear to our hearts because we used to work in operations, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So
I noticed you got out.
huh?
Well, we want to make room for other people that had the same experience that we had. So
Absolutely.
Good answer.
We miss it every day.
that's it.
I know. Actually, let me just say this: both of you, in the positions that you've moved to, have enhanced operations many times over, and you were a great investment. And so, even just doing this podcast shows, you guys are innovative. You guys are out there and have really been great assets for CareSouth. So.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Peggy. Thank you so much.
You're getting far clamped.
But really, having that experience and moving to a different department where we work closely with operations, that helped us to better understand how we can support operations, and that kind of closed the gap for us. You know what I'm saying? I can't speak for Daniel, speak for myself. It kind of closed the gap for us because we have that because we work the operations as site managers, site administrators. We have that knowledge of that operation, and we kind of understand how it kind of flows and how pieces fit and where they go. So.
And actually, as for me, our department, MATSUD, could not be as successful as it is without operations. And so we really appreciate you guys because it's that first usher to the door for our patients at MAT to make them feel comfortable enough to take into account their sobriety and make that high importance. So thank you guys.
All right.
Thank you.
No problem. So let's jump into it, man. So they heard us say operations. We've worked in operations. Y'all are operation. What is operation?
What is it?
I think there's two words that sum up what all of operations is and does, and that's patient experience. It's all wrapped around the work that goes behind the scenes, as well as the work when a patient accesses CareSouth for anything. Then you engage into operations. We start with our call center that, where when patients call in and they're looking for an appointment or information or a medication refill or a message to their provider or their nurse, the call center takes all of that information or makes that appointment, and it engages the patient then into CareSouth. That's the beginning. Now, sometimes, y'all's departments are out in the community long before a patient even darkens our door or calls for any services. And so that's another avenue, technically, that operationally, we are in the communities through your departments. and reaching out to patients to get access to care. And so operationally, that is what it's all about, is getting access to care for patients, helping patients, whether it's medical care, behavioral health care, maybe, food assistance, medication assistance, medication therapies for addictions or behavioral health issues. All of those things, and not just those things, come under that great big umbrella that getting patients access to care is what operations is all about.
Wow. Absolutely. And when you say access to care, just say if I don't know what access to care means, what is that really saying when you're saying you give me access to care?
Okay, so access to care is, we as CareSouth are here. We're a federally qualified community health center. Mm-hmm. We are funded partly by the federal government, and with their permission, we get to set up clinics in our 5 counties. And so those are access points where patients they're what you'd call doctor's offices or whatever, but those are access points where I could go and get medical care or a variety of other services that CareSouth has. And so that access is just the point where it's made available to me. And there are people there who can assist me. People that can help me navigate the system, help me figure it out, or help guide me. I don't even know what's out there, but certainly we have staff that can help a patient figure out, if they know what their need is, we can help figure out a solution for that need. Okay. That's access to care. It isn't all about going to the doctor. There's so many, many, many more things that access encompasses. And so operationally, that's what we are. We're on the hunt to find people's needs that we can help them access the solutions to those needs. Okay. Oftentimes it is a medical appointment. We certainly don't want to shortchange or minimize that, because your medical health is critically important in all of these factors. And so that's why we're considered a patient-centered medical home, so that they can come to us, have all that medical issues, have maybe behavioral health issues, have pharmacy issues, have maybe parts of your departments as well. The medication-assisted therapies, the social services, the community services, all of those things come under all of that comes under that same umbrella. Where a patient has a need, we bring them in. We can assist them, not only getting them a flu shot, not only giving them a COVID test, not only giving them health care and immunizations, but perhaps many other needs that they have, help them navigate how to solve those needs as well.
That's right. So operations is very important in introducing our patients to the deficits and social determinants. So you point them in every direction. You guys are like you're the ushers at the door, you're the hall monitors, you're the traffic police, you're everything. So you're pointing everybody in every direction that they need to go. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Operations.
Right. It's the nuts and bolts of the workings of taking care of people. Right. And that's my favorite saying is, take care of the patient. Just take care of the patient, find out what they need, and help them get what they need. And sometimes patients don't know what they need. They think they do, but maybe what they think they need would be detrimental to them. And so, good medical care is knowing what that patient needs and then assisting them to get that, and not just the Band-Aid for today, but help them on a healthier lifestyle and a healthier physical life as well. So, okay.
Absolutely. Wonderful. So let's go back to, because you mentioned the call center. right? As being one of the first contacts with the patient. Could you tell us a little bit more of that experience, and maybe why do we have a call center? How did that come about?
Okay, I promise I'm going to let Chaneka talk in a little bit, but this one is really near and dear to my heart. Several years ago, we did not have a call center, and when you called, your call went directly to the doctor's office, and we kept getting so many complaints that I never can get through. I never can get nobody's answering the phone. I can't. All I get is a ringing line, or I just keep getting busy signals. Well, then we decided we would really move uptown, if you want to call it that. And we hired another agency to be our call center. We thought, well, this would be great. And it was horrible because the people that were on the line didn't really work for CareSouth, and they didn't really understand, and they did their very best, but they had a different accent, and they were trying to do things that they didn't understand what patients were needing, didn't understand our services, and it just ended up, it just wasn't a real great marriage. And so we decided we could make our own call center and do a better job with that than farming it out to another agency. So that's exactly what we did. We hired a bunch of extra people and created a call center, and we've grown that call center according to the need. And now we have a very low what we call a dropped call rate, that patients can't reach us. Now, instead of the person, when you walk into the doctor's office, sitting at the desk with their telephone attached to their neck, and they're trying to take care of you, they're typing something on the computer and looking up at the person across the counter, trying to take care of 2 or 3 things at one time. And that doesn't work. Right. So we were able to lift all of that off. So our front office staff then were able to just take care of the patient in front of them, give a much more personal dedication to taking care of that patient, and uninterrupted as much as we can. So when patients call and say, I just want to talk to my doctor's office, I want to talk to the front desk, we hesitate, and we really don't want to put your phone call through because they're taking care of people in front of them. And we just revert back to what the old system was, and that isn't good patient care. So the call center has been trained to be able to take all of those messages, just the same as if they were sitting right there in the office, and put that message in for the nurse. Chances are you're not going to call and talk to the nurse because she's in the room taking care of patients. They're busy seeing people. And so taking phone messages, putting in prescription refills, making your appointment, and they are obligated for all the same privacy and everything else that everybody in the office is. They are employees of CareSouth. They're not going to be into your business. They're going to ask you questions so that they can give information to the office that they need, so that there aren't frivolous phone calls going back and forth. Ideally, if they want to know what it is you want to talk to the nurse about, that'll prioritize your call back. If it just says wants to talk to the nurse, well, if I'm a nurse and I've got 40 messages to return, I don't know what you want. I don't know how long that's going to take, but I see 5 of them over here. Even if they might have come in after yours, I see 5 of them over here that I know I can do real quick because they told me exactly what they wanted. I can respond very quickly to those. You're probably going to wait a little bit longer. Where maybe if you would have said, this is what you needed, it might have prioritized your phone call and gotten you a call back quicker. So I know people sometimes complain. They don't want to talk to the call center because they're not faces they know. But I promise you, the call center are very trained and very capable of taking those messages, making those appointments appropriately, and getting you in as quick as possible as the schedules allow. There's no advantage for them to put you off. In fact, their goal is to get you in as quick as possible. So that our call center right now has 17 customer service reps making appointments and taking those phone calls. They have 2 nurses there in the call center. There's a pharmacy tech in the call center. There's a dental scheduler in the call center. And I think that's everybody. If I'm counting them all right. But there is a lot of resource right there that they enhance the front office a lot by taking that work off of the front office.
So how many phone calls on average do the call center receive?
About 33,000 a month.
Wow.
Can you say that number again
And
so
it's
people
been
can
more
really
than
understand
that
that?
since-
Excuse me, Chaneka?
No, I was saying it's been more than that since COVID. It's been
Well,
up
it
to
has.
about 43,000.
So you say between 32,000 and 43,000 phone calls. You said
In a
per
month.
in a month, per month?
And if you keep in mind, we have between about 22 work days in a month's time. So that many calls divvied out among 22 days. If you do that math, it's mind-boggling.
It is.
It is mind-boggling. And for many, many days, that group of people, they have headsets on, and they're just going one call to the next call, to the next call, to the next call. And especially on Mondays, it is extremely heavy. They never hang up. And our dropped call rate, meaning calls that we weren't able to get to, is a little bit higher on Monday for obvious reasons. So, if you're going to make a choice of what day to call, Monday probably isn't the best. But if you need something, still call. We want you to call if you need it. Absolutely. But if it's just a matter of choice, I'd choose a different day than Monday. And definitely not over lunch hour, because they stagger in 3 lunch hours, but that means there's a reduced workforce during that time.
Right.
So, yeah.
Wow. I just think about that number of calls in our previous model, before the call center. Trust me when I tell you, being site administrator of Hartsville, I understood very well how busy, how much that phone rung, and I think I came on as you guys were, well, I think I was gone by the time the call center came around, but I definitely wish we had one then, because the patient experience would have been a lot better back then, and I'm glad we have it now, because I know I saw patient experience and the satisfaction scores shoot up when the call center came about. So kudos.
Right.
And I noticed earlier when Peggy was talking about access points, the access points being the sites that we have, the medical sites that we have. Can somebody explain? There's somebody that's in charge of those sites, and so we need to know about who's in charge, who people need to see when they go in those sites when they have some issues.
Right.
So of course they all report to me. At each site, we have what's called a site administrator. And that site administrator is responsible for overseeing the day-to-day operations of that office. That includes this provider scheduling, staffing, the patients when they come in, making rounds in the office to make sure that communicate with patients, make sure the visit is going well. And then also a lot of other behind the scenes work with the staff. If a patient comes in, well, let me tell you what happens when a patient comes in. So patient comes in after they've made their appointment with the call center. And when they enter in our offices, they'll check in at some offices with at our kiosk. And then from there, excuse me, may have a seat and wait. And they may be called back up by the front office, or they may be called in to go through what's called our intake process. And so during intake, what happens, the patient, especially if they're a new patient or if they're there for their annual visit, they will receive information of all the services that CareSouth offers. And then from there, they will go back to the lobby and wait. And now let me back up, because we are during COVID, okay? So during COVID, when a patient comes in, before they even get to the kiosk, they are going to have their temperature taken, and they will have some screening questions about if they've had any symptoms. So I want patients to know that when they come in, that is now part of our normal when you come into our offices. The seating in the offices, the site administrator has taken the responsibility of making sure seating is limited so that patients are sitting 6 feet apart from each other. And there are some offices where we are not as much lobby space. Patients have the option, they go back to their car and they wait, and someone will come get them. Okay, so that is what's happening now during COVID. I'm sorry, I had a flashback to the normal days. But that is what's happening right now. Yeah, they'll come again. So that's what happens, during that first part. Now, I must also add, and I want patients to know that every visit is not cookie cutter. Everyone that's in the lobby is not there for the same purpose. They're not there to see the same provider. Some may just be there for labs. Some may be there just for x-ray. Some may be there for behavioral health. Some may be there to see the doctor. Some may just be there to talk to the nurse. Everybody's there for a different purpose. And so the patient, once the patient gets called for whatever purpose they're there for, they will see their visit will take place. And at the end of their visit, or at any time during their visit, they have a problem, they can't ask to see the site administrator. That is the person that they need to talk to. I remember in my days as a site administrator, when I would walk through the office, people want to know, what's taking so long? So what I would do, I would go and find out what was taking so long for their visit. In some cases, it would be their appointment was at 9 o'clock and they didn't get there till 10 o'clock. Well, some people were taken ahead of you. So, they'll be right with you. In some cases, there was an emergency in the office where there was a patient that walked in that needed to get back right then. And when I say emergency, I'm talking about chest pains, can't breathe. We had to get somebody in ahead of you. We haven't forgotten about you. So every visit is not cookie cutter. But if there are any issues or problems during that visit, or anything that the patient wants to voice or talk about the office or about their experience, they can ask for the site administrator. And the picture and the phone number of the site administrator is posted in each site. So the patients know who the site administrator is when they walk through the office. It's not like when we were site administrators, all four of us, well, me, Peggy, and Marek, especially back then, when we would walk through the office. And Daniel, I don't think Daniel's picture's up, but our picture wasn't up. We just walked through. Right. But now the picture and the phone number is up. Now, at the end of the visit, when the patient is through with the provider or nurse or behavioral health provider or whomever, and they come back to the front of the office, we like for them to fill out what's called a patient satisfaction survey. And this is where we have patients fill out questions. It's just a survey of questions where we get feedback on your survey. How did the staff treat you? Would you recommend us to family and friends? What do you think about our facilities? What did you think about that? Did someone explain to you about your payment? All of those things are on that survey, and we actually take that data, and monthly I calculate it, and we report that out. So, and right then, if, like I said, if somebody was not happy with their visit, they can speak to the site administrator and talk with the site administrator about their visit, because at the end of the day, it's all about making sure the patient had the best experience and finding out, because as an organization, one thing I love about CareSouth, we're always working on improvement. We're always trying to do what's better. I remember, I don't know how many have seen the movie Black Panther, but there's a line in the movie when the Black Panther comes back and he meets his sister, Suri, who is, this genius and has created everything in Wakanda. And he tells her, oh, this worked fine. And she said, just because it works fine doesn't mean it can't be improved. And so that is what when I hear that, I always think about CareSouth. Just because something works well, it does not mean it cannot be improved upon. And that is what we need the patient's feedback in order to find out what do we, and it's not just about what we're doing wrong, what are we doing right? And then what else can we do to make your experience better?
Absolutely. You mentioned the physical sites, and that's part of operations as well. Our maintenance crew, and they're busy out there keeping our buildings clean, keeping our buildings looking good. Our groundskeepers, keeping things mowed and the parking lots and all of that. So all of that comes into play as well. One of the things during this COVID, they have been adding extra cleaning and doing even deep cleaning where all surfaces, including baseboards, walls, door jambs, everything, doorknobs, everything is wiped down. So, we are very COVID minded and very protective of anybody, our staff and our patients, our visitors, everybody coming into the building. That's why we are one of the few entities right now that is still doing temperature checks at the door. And it's just an added safety measure to take care of and be safe during these COVID days. So,
right. And also, every patient, no one comes in the building without a mask. If you come to our buildings, even after we take your temperature, if you do not have a mask, we provide you with one.
Yeah.
So everyone, our staff, everyone wears a mask.
Right. Absolutely. What? It's taking me back a little bit. This is a report that we used to have to do, and y'all still do, the Betamize, just being honest. Just being honest.
Which one is that?
Cycle time, office visit cycle time. What is office visit cycle time for everybody to know, and why is it important?
Well, actually, it's my favorite report. It's my favorite report.
It used to be mine. Now I pass it on to you.
It's mine now. Well, first, let me say, us looking at CareSouth looking at office visit cycle time, and Peggy, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm quite sure this goes way back to our work with IHI. The Institute for Healthcare Improvement. And when we started working with them, we started looking at how long did it take for, a patient to come through the office, because we found out that was part of patient satisfaction. People come to the office, they don't want to sit there all day. They want to come in, see their doctor, and go home. They got other things to do. They have lives outside of seeing the doctor. And when we first started measuring office visit cycle time, it was like 2.5 hours. I want to say 2 hours, 3 hours. It was a long time.
Yeah, we started out, we were at a couple of hours.
Yeah, it was a long time. And so our goal initially was always going to be 45 minutes. We want to get people in and out. And I remember, and Peggy remembers this, we started screening patients. We would literally stand at the nurse's station. We'd be following patients through the office, what time they walked in. They walked in at 9 o'clock. They sat in the lobby till 9:25. They went back to the nurse calling back at this time, that time. So we started measuring it way back then. Of course, now it's a lot more sophisticated because our EMR, tracks the patient through the office, and that's how we're able to determine what the office visit cycle time is. But that's all it is. It's just us monitoring and looking to see how long it takes a patient to move from within our office from one station to the next. How long are they in the office from the time they come in the door to the time they leave? And we also worked at having what's called value added time, so that when patients are just sitting there, that they're not just sitting there. Is there something else that they can be doing? Could they be seeing a counselor if a counselor is available if they need to? Could they be talking to a patient advocate about services that they may need? Anything else, could they go ahead to the lab? And have labs drawn and have that done. So by the time they see the provider, some things are done. So we started looking at all that. So the cycle time is really important because it really is, I think patients appreciate the fact that we care about their time. because time is important. You can't, when time's gone, you can't get it back. So I think patients would appreciate that we care about the time they spend in our offices. And right now, our average office visit cycle time for the organization is like 68 minutes. It's, it's 68 minutes. So we're doing good. And I know that's been during COVID, but right before COVID, we were like maybe at 72 minutes, 72, 73. So we were still in that we had gotten down to the range, but it took some time. And I like to credit the site administrators for that, because they have to keep their eye on that, and help lead that improvement in the office for, helping the cycle time to come down, and also the staff, because you got nurses that work with providers, who might walk in the office with the room with the provider and say, we got other patients, let's move along. Some providers need help, to move along. So, and that's the truth. I'm just being honest. And so, I credit all of our staff, site administrators, and all the line staff with that. I really do get into awareness.
Peggy like to use a phrase that really explains that office visit cycle time. And Peggy, what did you like to say?
It's what we're actually measuring is what I call toes in to toes out. And we don't cheat and say, oh, well, they sat in the lobby, so we won't count that time. It is from the moment you check in to the moment you check out. Toes in to toes out.
You're not, so what you're saying, you ain't talking about sandals, a closed in shoe.
Right.
Walking in and people walking out, getting all their services done. There is when I'm walking through some of the things that really catch my attention, and even when I was site administrators, people questioning about the paperwork that they have to fill out, and questioning about but why you got to have my income again? Why you got to do all this again? And I think that today is a good day to explain to some of the patients that might be watching why that paperwork is important, and so why we ask them so often about that.
Okay, so because we are a federally qualified community health center, it's made available to us that we can put patients on a sliding fee. But one of the requirements on that sliding fee is on at least an annual basis that we validate their status for qualifying for that slide fee. Now, we don't set the slide fee. That is set by the federal government. They use the federally poverty guidelines, and we just take it straight from them. So it is what it is. You either, you qualify in whatever group you qualify in, and anywhere, any agency anywhere that's using those same guidelines, you're going to qualify in the same group. We have no regulation of that other than to follow the guideline. But we do make it available to our patients, and we try and make certain on an annual basis that our front desk is rechecking with our patients to help them not expire, because once you expire off of a slide fee, you go to full pay again. So we want them to be proactive and say to a patient, I need you to bring in your proof of income. I need you to bring in, and they're not being nosy. They don't want to get up in your business. They simply want to save you some money, because if you, depending on the category that you fall into, and you can make a lot of money in South Carolina and still qualify for a slide fee discount. You get either a 25% discount, a 50% discount, a 75% discount, or even 100% discount. That's a lot of money when you're talking about going to the doctor's office.
Right.
Okay. And your slide fee also affects how much you pay for your medicine at our pharmacies. So it can really affect your pocketbook. So when people are asking you to bring your proof of income, we're not hassling you. We're trying to save you money, and we're trying to help you, have discounts that you might not be aware of otherwise. But you can save a lot of money by coming to CareSouth and applying for the slide fee. Now, you don't have to not have insurance. You can have insurance. Doesn't matter if you have insurance or not. What matters is your household income and the number of people in your household. That's all that matters.
Peggy, that's a good point, because a lot of times the patients are reluctant about saying how many people they have in their household, if they're married, if they're single, because they think it's going to affect what they pay. But it's important that we know that, because based on your income and amount of people, like you said, amount of people live in your household, that's determining what your pay is going to be at the end of your visit, or what your bill is going to be. So it's important to let us know how many people in your household, because it might benefit you.
Oh, it really does benefit you, because obviously, on the federal poverty guideline, the more people in the household, the bigger the discount, because you've got more financial obligation to take care of those people.
Right.
So now, now if your brother is living with you and he's, earning his own, and you're not really responsible for him, he doesn't count in your household. He's a household all of his own, even though you share the same house. All right. It's the people that you're financially responsible for. And it might be your brother. If your brother is maybe he's handicapped or whatever, and he's part of your household that you're responsible. So they're going to ask you some questions that might feel like you're being nosy, but they're not. They're really trying to help you to get the biggest discounts that you can get.
And I think that's one of the things that they don't understand, that if there's a multi-family household where I got my kids and you got your kids, but we can't afford our own place, but I take care of mine and you take care of yours, I'm only responsible for what I'm taking care of.
Right.
It doesn't matter who's in there. And I think our staff is doing a good job by not being biased or being judgmental. Just asking them, And so I think today, if they watch this, and we hope that people do, and if somebody's watching, please share it, because we want people to understand why we asked all these questions at the front desk. It's not for our benefit. It's not so we can put it on Facebook or put it on Snapchat or anything like that, but it's to benefit you and what you pay whenever you come in, to help you save money and make your experience better at CareSouth.
Another thing I really want to highlight here is we do not require that you have Social Security numbers. Okay, you don't have to be a citizen, and you can still come to CareSouth. That's a big question. A lot of times people think that, well, I don't have citizenship, and you'll report me to the feds because you're federally funded. No, that does not happen. We do not report people. That is not what we do. We're here to assist people regardless of your nationality, regardless of your social status, regardless of your citizenship. We are here for all people. And we are happy to put people, into our programs as they qualify. And we're going to ask a lot of questions, because that qualification is a requirement. But we're not trying to get into your business. We're just trying to help you get a better discount.
Well, because that's our business. Our business is to make sure that your experience is excellent. So whatever we got to do to get you there, then just be patient with us, and just the more compliant you are, the easier your appointment to flow. So
it's all about access. We're trying to get people access to care and services.
Right.
That's what operations is.
Wow. That's it then. That way to end it. That's it. That's it. That's what operations is.
Thank you for letting us come and share. This is Chaneka's in my heart. Access to care is really our heartbeat. And it's a blessing to be able to be in this business. And it's like a ministry. Taking care of people it has to be from the heart, or you don't do it right.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
And we thank you for even being on here, for coming on and sharing this information, both of you. Yeah. But before you go, there you go. Like for our audience to kind of get to know our guests a little bit outside of work. One of the most questions that we like to ask is, what do you guys do? What do you ladies do when you're not at CareSouth? And I know sometimes it's hard. Trust me, me and Daniel sometimes that phone on the weekend, that electronic police, it hits you. But when you're pulling it out, what is it that you do to kind of help you get away from the hustle and bustle of CareSouth Carolina?
Chaneka, you go first.
Oh, you and me.
You've got a much more exciting story than I do.
Well, I would like to say, and I think it's funny, given that three of us on here, Daniel's a pastor, Peggy's a pastor's wife, and I'm an ordained minister. So we, ministry outside of work, that's dear to all of us. I know if I don't say it, Marek is going to call me out on it. I like to shop. He's going to call me out on it. I got on my Mrs. Calhoun jewelry today. I also have my family. First and foremost, David, my 11-year-old, that's dear to my heart, and my husband Fred, and the rest of my family. Yeah, he was in here. I'm in David's space right now for school, actually. So he came. He was just in here. So just my family, my aunt, and my other family who may be watching, my brother, and just all my sister, everybody, all my family, they're very important to me. And just, COVID really stopped a lot of things, right. But just being with my family, now when I can is number one for me. And in ministry, that's part of ministry, and shopping. I can't get away from it. Just shopping. I can't. So that's me. Everybody knows I like to shop. I couldn't hide it if I tried.
Yeah, she had a department store in her home.
Yeah.
Department store, second floor on the right. Yes. Pocketbooks, clothes, jewelry, and Barbie dolls. Yes, all upstairs.
Love it. Peggy?
Okay, so who am I away from work? I'm probably working, but for 20 some years, for a long time, I was. My husband was a pastor before he retired, and so I was very active as a pastor's wife in our churches, and dearly loved that role. Since he has retired a few years ago, we have downsized. And decorating my homes was always a big, entertaining, and that type of thing was always big for me. So I love to cook for people. I absolutely love to cook. And I love, I like making just about everything. So whether it's desserts or casseroles or dinners or whatever, I thoroughly enjoy cooking. And so that's probably one of my few, that's my happy place, is my kitchen. And
okay.
And I have a dog. I have a dog, and of course my husband, of course, not that the dog's over my husband, but I have a couple of grown children and 5 grandchildren. And they're all, nearly grown now. So they're not little, and they live in other states. So they're not in and out of my house. I don't get to see them nearly as often. But probably now outside of work, which I love to work, I don't mind, working extra. I don't mind in my spare time working on something. So that's not a burden to me, but probably cooking. Chaneka's is shopping.
Yes.
And I cook for Chaneka sometimes.
Yes. I was going to say her desserts and oh my gosh. And I got to say one more thing. I forgot to acknowledge. I'm also very active with my sorority. I would get in trouble if I did not acknowledge Hartsville Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So very active. And back to Peggy. Yes, Peggy. Yes, her cookies and desserts and veggie pizza. Her dressing, like she makes this gravy this turkey soup that you put on after holidays. I'm looking forward to that. I'm putting that plug in there. Now so I can have my own little bit, after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I mean, during that time, I need to go visit the call center.
Yeah.
During COVID, we're very limited on what we can do with all of that. So,
yeah. Well, Marek, I think my computer's starting to go down, so I might have to, the same time that she's doing that, I might have to visit IT as well. Yeah. But she made a
It just happens to be in the same building as my office, right?
yeah, and that's a coincidence. Wow,
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And she said something else that really sparked something in me. She said that she had a dog, and then she said that not that my husband come before her, but when I come home from work, sometimes Stephanie get home after me. I'm sitting on the step. I can have a bad day, and I'm just looking, really pitiful. And Sparky will run out, and she'll be like, "Hey, Sparky, how's your day?" Mm-hmm. And never ask me how I'm doing. So sometimes,
well, Finley, Peggy's dog is precious. Finley, he really is.
I think. Well, Sparky is the man in the house. I have to take second fiddle because he comes first. We understand that.
Yeah.
As a husband, I understand that these little fellas, they're unconditional. They love you, and that's the best therapy in the world. You have a bad day, bring your little fur baby up, and
he is at the door when I come home, and as soon as I get out of the car, he runs and jumps up on the couch and is wiggling all over, waiting for me to come and pet him. So I mean, there's no welcome like that anybody's going to give you but your pet.
Yeah,
that's right.
We don't do that. I'm sorry, husbands don't do that often. We might say, "Hey, how you doing? How's your day?" It ain't gonna come wagging.
Yeah.
No, Fred does not come wagging when I come in. I didn't mention. I
never get that.
No, Fred. I forgot to mention there. My husband, Fred Pigatt, works for CareSouth as well, and accounts receivable. So when I get home, he's on the computer working. He's not wagging anymore. And neither is David.
Oh, Fred.
I definitely know what you mean. I took back seat to Rhodey and Sammy over here.
Yeah.
I'm the second man in here. I'm the third man in the house, actually.
Wow.
Let me just give this word of advice. I think y'all could learn something from the attention that pets give. That little extra attention might be beneficial to learn from. Just a word of advice.
I don't know how Stephanie will take me licking her.
Sit at my feet.
Oh my goodness!
Just sit at her feet. That's too funny.
I love
That's
it.
priceless.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, ladies, again
thank you
for coming on. Thank you again. This was really, really informative. Really, really, really laid it out for our patients. We want everyone to like and share this video. Also, as we're on the heels of CareSouth Carolina celebrating our 40th year in service. Our 40th year in service. That's right. So thank you again for coming on. And as always, if you want to reach us and hear more about CareSouth Carolina and know more about CareSouth Carolina, you can reach us on our website at www.caresouth-carolina.com. Give us a call, 866-498-0399, or catch up on us on our social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, IG, and also YouTube. All right. And so this concludes CareSouth Carolina Community Podcast for this week, and we look to see you next week as we come back with some more information. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.